Okay, I'd like to call to order this village board meeting of Villa Park, and today's February 24th and 2020. And Clerk Kornecki, could you call the roll?
Trustee Silella?
Here.
Trustee Kazone?
Here.
Trustee Murphy?
Here.
Trustee Patrick?
Here.
Trustee Tucker?
Here.
Trustee Wagner?
Here.
President Bolthus?
Here. Let's all rise for the pledge and remain standing for a short prayer. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing. Trustee Wagner has a prayer for us.
Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Help us to engage in meaningful discussion. Allow us to grow closer as a group and nurture the bonds of community. Fill us with your grace as we make decisions that might affect the residents, staff, businesses, surrounding communities, and all those that enter the village of Villa Park. And continue to remind us that all we do here today, all that we accomplish, is for the pursuit of truth, for the greater glory of you, and for the service of humanity. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, next item is public comments on agenda items. Clerk Kornecki, anyone signed up?
I have no one signed up. No.
Does anyone have any comments on an agenda item? Things that's on number 6 through 8D on our agenda. Seeing none, we'll move to amendments to the agenda. Do any board members have any amendments to the agenda? Seeing none, okay, we'll move to the presentation by the Community Pride Commission for the holiday decoration rewards, and Adam Hudson is here to make that presentation.
Good evening. Good evening. Hi. I'm here to present the award for the holiday decoration contest for Villa Park. I'd like to introduce Evan Peterson. He's going to help me introduce his family. So we have Aaron. Who's Aaron? AKA Mom. We also have Keith. And Olivia.
Big sister.
Good.
And I'm sorry, I forgot to write down your address. What was your address again?
304 Willowcrest Drive.
There we go. So they have the award. So they get the honor of.
Sounds bigger than. Wow.
Like it? What did you have to do to put all those decorations up? Did you get something for all those decorations? What'd you get? A
sign. Good answer. Good answer.
Smarter than all of us.
He also got cookies. Olivia got cookies.
Cookies. Okay.
This is awesome, Evan. You're gonna put this in your front yard? Yes. I can carry it. We can put it on your. See you later.
I want to thank the Peterson family for coming tonight. I appreciate that. And just a couple other things I want to plug for the commission, for the Community Pride Commission. We do have the spring sweep. This is coming up in April. We're going to continue to do the Pause on the Path. Look for us joining events to incorporate our sidewalk chalk event. And then also don't forget to nominate your neighbors in the future for community events such as the Summer Landscaping Award. This is going to happen over the summer. Next fall, we're doing the Halloween and Thanksgiving decorations, and then, of course, the holiday decoration as well. And then as always, members and volunteers are welcome to come to our meetings. We meet on the 4th Tuesday of the month at 6 p.m. Welcome.
Okay, thank you, Evan. And thank you, Peterson family and Evan, for all your work on that. I've seen your lights, and they were quite impressive this holiday season. So thanks a lot for helping beautify Villa Park even more than it already is. So it's really great seeing the lights at Christmas time. Thank you. And I think our public information officer would want to take some pictures of the family in the back room over there. So we might make sure we get that on our webpage. So thank you very much. Okay, we'll move on to our consent agenda. First item is the minutes from the board meeting held on February 10th, 2020. And we also have the bill listing for the weeks of February 10th and February 17th, 2020, in a total amount of $841,300.94. Do we have a motion for the consent agenda? Trustee Kazone?
Mr. President, I'll make that motion.
Second, Trustee
Second.
Sala. Any questions? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Wagner?
Yes.
Trustee Tucker?
Yes.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Kazone?
Yes.
Trustee Salella?
Yes.
President Polkus?
Yes. Okay, number 7A is the first reading of an ordinance of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, amending the Villa Park Municipal Code related to utility billing. Manager Keener.
Thank you, Your Honor. On January 13, 2020, the Village Board approved changes to the utility billing process, which includes absorbing credit card processing fees to be funded by a change in the monthly administration charge on utility accounts. The proposed ordinance increases the monthly administrative fee from $1.50 to $2 per month, which is necessary to help pay for the credit card processing fees. The $1.50 fee was established in July 2006. Additionally, accounts are currently charged a $100 fee when the utility service is actually reinstated during normal business hours, a fee of $150, which is a $100 delinquent fee, plus $50 after-hours charge is currently charged if the utility service is reinstated after business hours. On many occasions, when staff arrives at the home and is in the process of terminating the utility service, many homeowners argue with them about the $150 fee, which can be distressing. This ordinance changes the $100 reinstatement fee into a $100 delinquent fee that is assigned on the very day which the utility service is going to be terminated, whether or not the utility service is actually terminated. The after-hours reinstatement fee to restore utility service would increase from $150 current to $200, and that is a $100 delinquent fee plus $100 after-hours charge. Staff believes that the delinquent fee is appropriate due to the amount of effort involved in verifying payment or non-payment and extensive follow-up prior to the day of service termination. The increase in the after-hours rate is based on our actual cost to call back an employee at the overtime rate for the required minimum 2 hours plus equipment costs. Thank you, Your Honor.
This will be our first reading, so we don't need a motion. This is for discussion. So any questions or comments from the board? Trustee Tucker.
When does the shut-off actually occur? According to this, you said 35 days after the bill is. Then my understanding is they have a late fee for how long before we actually shut it off.
Manager Keener.
Yes, Your Honor. You know what I'd like to do, Your Honor, is have Director Wachtel come to the podium and describe the entire process so it's easily understandable. Thank you, Your Honor.
Yep.
Thank you. So generally the utility bill process happens as follows. We send out the utility bill pretty much at the end of the month, the last business day of the month. We give people about 21 days to pay the bill. After 21 days, the 5% late fee attaches to that bill. Then about 30 days after the original bill, you would get your second bill. And on that second bill, if you had not paid, then that would show a past due amount. So now we're at about 30 days. After that bill is processed, we then go through the accounts a few days later to determine which accounts need to enter the shutoff phase. And that's about 35 days after the rendering of the original bill. So now it's about 35 days after the original bill. And that would enter the shutoff process. So about 35 days after the original bill, if it goes unpaid, and if it meets certain dollar thresholds, we're not going to shut off an account that's $20 past due, but something that's over $200, $250, would enter the shutoff process. We would, in addition to that second bill, the customer would receive a specific shutoff notice that describes to them when the account is subject to be terminated, water service terminated at that point. And once that date hits, we, depending on staff availability and schedules and that type of thing, or if there's snow plowing operations, times it gets delayed. But then that property is, or that house is subject to turning the water off after all of those days have elapsed, after we provided them that particular note.
So it's not really 35 days. So the bill comes out the end of 1 month. Then you basically give them 21 days from that point of when the original bill, they got the first bill that they didn't pay.
They get 21 days for that's to pay the regular bill. After 21 days, then
Wait,
then they get
but
the penalty.
is it 21 days from the date they received the bill?
Yes.
Okay, so
Well, no,
technically,
I'm sorry. It's 21 days from when we mail out the bill, or when we distribute the bills.
okay,
Not
so
everybody
they
gets them mailed out.
receive the bill, they have 21 days to pay it after they receive the bill, if I'm understanding it correctly.
After we send out the bills,
Okay,
yes.
so basically they got 21 days from the time the bill goes out.
Yes.
And then you said after that point, if they don't pay it in the 21 days after they receive the bill, then it becomes a late,
Then they get a
They-
late charge.
then they get the late charge starts.
That's a 5% late charge on the outstanding, on the amount of the bill that has not been paid.
And that late charge, is it daily? Is that what, it's just
No,
5%?
it's a one-time, it's 5%.
One-time fee, right?
It's 5% added to the bill.
Okay, so now we're at 21 days past due, basically.
Uh,
Here-
No, it's at 21 days from the date of the bill. It
Okay.
is 1 day past due. It is
So
due
1
21
day-
days after we send the bill out.
Okay, so it's due 21 days after the bill goes out. So 1 day after the bill is due is when the late charge goes in effect.
Correct.
Okay. And then from that point on, you're saying it, after 31 days after the bill's sent out is when it actually goes into the effect?
No, after 31 days, they would get a second bill as a normal monthly process. So that second bill would happen whether they paid or whether they didn't. If they did not pay, that second bill would have a past due amount on it, any amount that the customer did not pay. So if they short paid, then it would show that past due amount at that point in time.
So basically,
Some
everything
customers
starts
pay
with the
fixed
first-
dollar amounts, like $100 every month or something like that.
Okay, some are on a payment plan, or they just pay $100 and then it rolls over is what happens.
Some customers have different arrangements and they want to pay, $150 a month or whatever, depending on their bills. So it's, by and large, people pay the amount that's put on their bill every single month.
Okay, so at the 31-day period, that's what happens at that point, because that's what we have in here.
After 31 days, then they enter the shut-off process.
Okay,
We provide them a notice. We mail them a specific notice that explains that their account is past due and that they are subject to service termination. And we give them a number of days, about a week. It gives them some time to pay their account, make their account current, to avoid shut-off.
is that when the delinquent fee would take occurrence? The $100
The way it is
delinquent we're talking-
now,
Okay,
the $100 fee does not happen until the public works employee in the field actually turns the water off. What we are proposing is, in this process, that day where we are sending public works staff out to terminate water service, that's when the $100 fee would attach to the account. Because in the interim, we are monitoring those accounts. We are working with public works to determine if payment's been made. There's additional administrative work that needs to happen on these accounts that have not been, that are at that point delinquent and subject to have their water turned off. So the $100 would attach on that morning. The idea behind this is we want to encourage people to pay. We don't want to turn anybody's water off. That's the last thing that we want to do. We want to make sure, or we want to do everything that we can to encourage people to pay on time. We don't want to assess late fees. We want people to pay within those 21 days. We want people to pay on time and avoid service termination. So the 5% late fee is to encourage people to pay within that 21 days. Then in this case, what we are proposing is on that day that water could be turned off for non-payment, then that's when the $100 fee would attach to the account.
So if I'm understanding you correctly, if they pay for it before that shut-off date, that $100 would not be put on the.
Correct.
Correct?
If we mail out that shut-off notice, then, and if they come in and they pay that next day, then there would not be that $100.
Okay. So that
And we would-
$100 only occurs if we go to the final process of sending somebody out to shut off the water.
The day that we would send people out, that's the day that morning, when we actually send people out, is when we would attach the $100 to that account.
Okay, any other questions? Trustee Patrick?
I have just two quick questions, I hope. First of all, Dr. Wachtel, could you give me a ballpark figure, an approximate percentage of how many of our residents are signed up for the automatic debit?
We have probably, give me one second. Our automatic, about 1,300 customers out of 7,500, or about 7,000 customers are on direct debit.
Oh, so only 1,300 people are on direct debit,
I believe so.
and the remainder is come in and pay?
There are several different ways that people can pay.
Right.
You can pay a direct debit through your own bank. You can pay a direct debit through other process, but through our process, it's about 1,300 through our bank process, our direct debit program.
Okay, and I guess this isn't a question that I'll expect you to have the answer for now, but if we were to put a percentage on that, what percentage of that then would have payments been declined if it was on auto payment?
Very few. That does
Very
not
few.
happen very often. We have, when people are enrolled in our direct debit program, then we waive the account deposit. So we do different things to encourage people to go in the more secure payment methods. And of course, direct debit is the most secure and it's the lowest cost for us to manage and to administer. So we waive the account deposit and encourage people to do that. This, whenever a new customer comes in, we're talking about that. We want them to sign up for that.
Is there a way that we're communicating with our current residents other than on their bill about direct automatic debit?
We periodically put information in the newsletter.
Okay.
With all that information. All this information is available on our website. When we are, whenever somebody calls and asks us about their account and different ways to pay, we're talking about it. When we are going to convert our billing system, our online bill system, this is something that we're going to be talking about and explaining to folks and reminding them that this is definitely an option for them as well.
So according to what you said, though, essentially it would be beneficial to get the remainder of that 7,000 on board with direct debit or
It would be great
automatic
if
debit.
more customers were there. People that are signed up on direct debit don't have to use direct debit. So they can sign up for the direct debit and then make a payment in the middle of the month if they so choose. But the direct debit is pretty much a backstop. So on the day that the bills are due, then we go and fetch that money from the accounts so that we avoid the late payment penalty situation.
Okay.
It's taken out on that day if there is an account balance still on their account on the due date.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Trustee Cazal?
It's a quick question, and it's, I don't know, we were just talking about, when you have a water shut off, does that cut off their garbage pickup too?
No.
Or does that continue? So
No, that
it's just the
continue.
water that gets shut off?
No, water gets terminated, and that's really our only service to
Yep.
to halt.
Okay, thanks.
Anyone else? Trustee Wagner?
How many shut-offs would you say we have in a month on average?
It's not many, but maybe 5 on a low month, 15 in that range.
And how many customers do we have? Is it about 7,500?
A little over 7,000 customers.
A little 7,000.
It's yeah.
And
so
do
it's
you
very-
anticipate with what you're doing here, that it's kind of an incentive for people to use debit card or credit card, which should cut down the number of shut-offs?
That's exactly right. We're trying to do both sides of it. We're trying to encourage people to pay, through the through the penalty side, but more importantly, we want people to make payments on time, and so we're encouraging that by absorbing the credit card fees. Not all of the customers are making that decision based on the fees, but there are some that would pay by credit or debit card if there was not a fee attached to that, and so we're trying to take that away as a barrier for those people to use that method of payment. Also, paying online, we want to make it as user-friendly as possible, as consumer-driven as possible, so when they want to go on the website and make that payment, they can do that without having to pay an additional surcharge on the credit card transaction. So we're trying to put all of these things together to encourage that on-time payment, and so we don't get into the late process. We'd rather not do it. It's administrative work on our side, and it takes us away from other things that we could be doing, and of course we will continue to do that as it goes. But it's another additional process as time goes on that we want customers to be current on their accounts.
Thank you. That's all I had.
Trustee Murphy?
Just a couple comments. The paragraph is suggesting the increase in the after-hour rate is based on the actual costs to call back an employee at an overtime rate for the required 2 hours minimum, which makes absolutely perfect sense. We want to make every effort to recoup our labor fees associated with administering an overdue process. On the flip side of that would be during regular business hours, we're now taking the $100 charge that was being appropriated as a reinstatement fee and calling it a delinquent fee, and that's surmising that that delinquency fee is covering our administrative costs above and beyond the 5% to continue to research these late fees and encourage people to make their payment. As using it as a diversion, since it's going from the point of turn on to the front end of the process where we're turning it off, we're now, quote unquote, not charging them to reinstate, yet we're incurring a labor expense to send someone out. So we're doing it a little differently during hours than after hours, when after hours we're working hard to recoup all of our labor expenses. So you are more intimately, you and Manager Keener are more intimately familiar with how the process is working. You obviously have been talking to each other and thinking this through on an advantage that you see with respect to our public works folks, and maybe it's worth a word from Director Salerno on what's happening when they do go out to turn the water off and what they are hearing from these residents and what his perspective is on shifting this fee from a reinstatement fee to a delinquency fee.
Good evening. Unfortunately, when we receive the shut-off list and we're going to these residents' houses, a lot of times we have confrontation with these residents, obviously, because they're not happy that the water's going to be shut off. So they're like, please don't shut it off. Obviously, we sent the manpower out there, so we're stopping the work efforts at that time. They're coming back in, the village hall, trying to pay their bills. And obviously then we got that person that's waiting around or coming back, and then to verify that they actually did pay the bill. So it is an unfortunate, tiresome process on our end.
Do you feel that shifting that $100 fee from the reinstatement to the delinquency point will help alleviate that issue with the guys going out and turning the water up?
I do believe so. I think that'll definitely send a message that to hopefully reduce or eliminate the delinquencies.
Okay. Thank you.
I've got one more question,
Yes.
Mr. President. Director Salerno, if one of our residents is having trouble paying their bill on time or having some sort of financial issues, what can they do to contact the village to help prevent or prolong their shut-off?
I'll revert that to Director Wachtel, because the actual Public Works Department is on the, if you want to say, the enforcement side, that we actually turn the water off after we receive notices. So
Typically, if there is a situation where there's an unusually high bill or something along those lines, and we are in contact with the resident, then we're we're making payment arrangement potentially with them, depending on the particular circumstances of whatever is happening. If we are actively working with a resident, if there's an issue with their meter or with their account in some way, they're not going to go through the shut-off process. We take them out of that process. So that's not going to, they're not going to get shut off while we're working with them with an issue on their particular account. If a customer has if they regularly have a $100 utility account and that's their bill every single month, then we typically do not do a payment plan in that scenario because they're going to continue to incur $100 every single month. So if it's difficult to make prior payments on a payment plan in addition to the current charges. So it depends on the particular facts and circumstances of the customer, if there's a high bill or that type of thing. But we listen to them, we work with them whenever we can.
Who is it that they communicate with or contact?
Anybody at the village office, and depending on who is there, anybody that deals with utility billing will be able to point them in the right direction.
All right, thank you.
Anything else? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move this on to our next meeting for a second reading. Okay. Item 7B is the first reading of an ordinance of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, increasing the number of Class Quad E restaurant unrestricted liquor license. Manager Keenan.
Thank you, Your Honor. Super Taco Morelos, Inc., number 3, located at 100 East Roosevelt Road, has been in operation as a restaurant and would like to be able to sell alcoholic liquor to customers. This ordinance will create a Class Quad E restaurant unrestricted license for consumption on the premises and sale of alcoholic liquor to patrons at tables or a bar of the restaurant. If approved, this will bring the total number of Class Quad E licenses to 1. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. Again, this is our first reading, so it's for discussion only. You remember that the Quad E license were allowed the sale of alcohol, but not allowed gaming. So, anyone have any questions or comments? Trustee Murphy.
I just have a quick comment. My family has been there twice now since they've been opened, and we find it to be a wonderful, wonderful place to go and extraordinarily cost effective. So we're very pleased to have them.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, we'll move that on to our next meeting, first meeting in March. Item 7C is the first reading of an ordinance of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, amending Chapter 7 of the Village Code by adopting, by reference, certain building, residential, property maintenance, electrical, mechanical, fuel, gas, energy, and fire prevention codes. Manager Keenan.
Thank you, Your Honor. The village last adopted updated building codes in 2011. In order to keep pace with building technologies and methods, the adoption of a new set of building and fire codes is recommended. New codes will include additional requirements for solar panel installations and car charging stations. In addition, this includes a major upgrade to our electric codes. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Again, this is the first reading for discussion only. If anyone has any questions or comments, but now's the time. Trustee Wagner.
Thank you, President Polfus. Just a question. It's quite a large document. There's a lot to absorb there. But I kind of focused in on the narrative there about solar panels and charging stations. And I did notice that we do have a section in our code that addresses solar panels currently. But I went through the document and I could not find where it references a chapter for solar panels, but I didn't see where specifically there was a change to our ordinance.
Manager Keener.
Your Honor, Director Grill would like to come forward and talk about this item.
Yes. That's a big document.
The current electric code that we're on does reference solar panels, but the technology has improved over the years and actually become more voluminous in terms of telling people how they should build solar panels and attach them and things like that. It's in the same location. It's just a much larger section on solar panels.
Okay. I think I'll have to go back and look at the document again because I could not find it. But,
Okay.
But I may.
I'll be happy to sit down with you and go through it.
Perfect. With the manager's approval, I'll do that.
Okay.
Thank you. That's all I had.
Can you sit down with me?
Absolutely.
Okay. Get that out of the way. Okay. Anyone else?
I have just
Mr.
one.
Murphy.
Just the input from the staff, if any, how they're feeling about these changes, and whether they've gone through this. Are there changes you would like to see on there that you're not? Does anyone have any input? Is everybody good with it?
Well, it has been reviewed by several inspectors in the Community Development Department, by our plumbing inspector, by the fire department. We have all had input on it. That's where
How they were charging those certain things to match what we were doing, because my understanding was we were kind of way behind.
we were way behind, and this is really just an attempt to try to remain equal with what other communities were charging for the same services.
So we were kind of matching, what one town was doing. Because I know
Correct.
we were having a lot of problems with builders and contractors not wanting to be here because we made it very difficult cost-wise, and we were adding things on that other villages were kind of booking them together in one lump sum and not piecemealing it. So that's why I was wondering, have we kind of updated this to make it match a total when they get.
The intent was to try to remain competitive or equal with what other communities charged. We have met with several builders that do build in the village, and their concerns about the process and everything related less to the cost we were charging and more to the total time it was taking to get permits issued.
Okay, so it's more of a time factor than
a cost
pricing,
factor.
Cost factor.
Correct. In
So
fact,
then-
we had one of them that said they'd gladly pay way more if they could get their permit sooner.
Okay, so basically, it's not going to be a money issue that we've changed these. That's not what they're kind of concerned about. It's more that we get the processing fee done a lot quicker. for
The
that.
processing of the permit done a lot quicker.
Quicker, okay.
These fees really are an attempt to bring our fees into the 21st century.
Okay.
So,
Okay, anyone else? Trustee Saylor.
I'm just going to fade back to possibly a year and a half, 2 years ago, when we lowered the price for permitting on driveway replacement in order to encourage residents to repair their driveways. The permit was much higher than the surrounding communities. I understand this is to bring us into the 2020 and all that, but it's still almost doubled according to this. Is that going to have any impact on what we are hoping to do with driveways and updating them and replacing them?
what we have found is the cost of the fee wasn't making anybody more or less likely to come in and get their permit. The ones that chose not to get their permits were still choosing not to get their permits.
Very good, thank you.
All right.
Anyone else? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move this on to our first meeting in March for a second reading. Okay. Item 8A is a resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, approving a contract with BME Electric, Inc. of Bridgeview, Illinois, for construction of the South Cornell Pumping Station Emergency Generator Replacement Project in the amount not to exceed $157,972.50. Manager Keener.
Thank you, Your Honor. The current emergency power system was installed in the early 1980s and has required more frequent maintenance, and replacement parts are becoming harder to find. The replacement of the emergency power system for the South Cornell Water Pumping Station is being proposed. The project was formally opened for bid on February 6, 2020. 2 contractors submitted bids, and the apparent low bid was submitted by BME Electric, Inc. of Bridgeview, Illinois, a contract with BME Electric, Inc., and an amount not to exceed $157,972.50 is recommended. Thank you, Your Honor.
Do I have a motion for the resolution?
President Polk, can I make that motion?
Trustee Ciela?
Make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second. Thank you. Any questions or comments? Trustee Kazone.
Question I have is, obviously this contract involves them taking out the diesel underground storage tank, and then they're not to exceed, does that include if there's a release from the tank, will they take the process through the whole IEPA, or would that be a change order?
I believe it includes it.
Yes.
Yes.
It includes it.
Okay, anything else?
Okay, no, that's it.
Anyone else? Trustee Tucker.
I'm curious why we didn't do a rebid or why the engineering's estimate is like $32,972 less than any bid we got. And what are the 2 amendments on here? You've got 2 addendums on here. What are those 2 addendums that were included?
Answer for the addendum.
Yeah, I think Director Salerno would like
He's
to.
waiting?
Yeah.
Okay. They're conferring.
Oops. We'll pick that up. The first question regarding the 2 addendums, the first addendum that was issued was to extend the contract deadline to submit bids. And the second, in the process, it was realized that the proposed gas service would be inadequate, so we had to upsize or propose an upsized gas service, so that took some additional time, and we revised the plans to show that fact. That was the 2 addendums. The reason why the disparity between the engineer's estimate and the actual cost, this was actually the first time staff really put together for a generator of this size. We got some proposals, we did some consulting to some manufacturers, and based upon the initial size of the generator, seemed a little bit undersized from then what was actually needed for the actual usage for this site. So that was the reason
So
for our
originally the
underestimate.
engineer undersized what we needed. Is that why his amount is less than what we had ended up with?
What we, obviously what's proposed is adequate for, it's to operate the pump station itself and one of the large pumps that operates that facility. So the actual generator now has the capability of operating all that equipment, but initially it was anticipated that a smaller generator with a smaller gas service could have been adequate.
So if I'm understanding you correctly, you're saying the engineer estimate was for a smaller generator than what we got the bid for?
The initial thought in the initial early design phase thought that it was going to be a smaller unit, yes.
And why did we not rebid if we only got 2 contracts?
We received two bids, but 6 companies picked up bids. So, and with how close both bids were, obviously they're very competitive. I believe it was maybe about $3,000 or so difference between the 2 bids. So the disparity was extremely small, a small percentage. So that's why we felt that was comfortable. And we did reference checks on this contractor and had high regards to the work from multiple agencies.
So basically you felt if we rebid it, it wouldn't have made any difference, is what I'm asking. Because previously we rebid for the road thing because we found out that wasn't it. I was just wondering why we didn't redo this when the difference was there.
We felt if we rebid, we probably would not see lesser prices. They would probably increase just due to the timing.
Anyone else? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Kazone?
Yes.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Salella?
Yes.
Trustee Wagner?
Yes.
Trustee Tucker?
Yes.
President Volkes?
Yes, that passes, and we'll move to 8B, which is a resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, approving an engineering service agreement with Christopher B. Burke Engineering Limited of Rosemont, Illinois, for Phase 2 design engineering for the Harvard Ave Improvement Project, Jefferson Park to Ridge Road, in the amount not to exceed $102,400. Manager King.
Thank you, Your Honor. Engineering design of the Harvard Avenue Improvement Project, Jefferson Park to Ridge, is proposed. Christopher B. Burke Engineering Ltd. has submitted a proposal to the village to provide design engineering services for the Harvard Avenue Improvement Project in an amount not to exceed $102,400. Funding would be taken from the Street Improvement Fund referendum account number 650203292, Water Supply Fund account number 825020292, and Wastewater Fund account number 835020292. Thank you, Your Honor.
Do you have a motion for the resolution? Trustee Wagner?
I'd like to make that motion.
Do you have a second? Trustee Kazone?
I'll second it.
Okay. Any questions or comments from the board? Trustee Tucker?
I have a question. The first section that we approved in 2019, which was the bid from Jefferson Park to
Plymouth?
Plymouth, right, has 8-inch main piping, and this one's only 4 inches. Is there going to be a problem, or are they going to have to we're going to see them reform that from it?
Yeah, it's the other way around.
No, according to the thing, it said Jefferson Park to Plymouth was going to be 8 inches, and then from Jefferson Park, from the section from Plymouth to Ridge would only be 4 inches.
No, I
Is
think
that-
we're replacing the 4-inch with 8-inch all the way.
Right, it's originally 4 inches, but this proposal says we're only going to do 4 inches for the second segment. We've got 8 inches in one part, but only 4 in the second part. That's what my question is. Are we doing 8 all the way?
We're doing
or-
8 all the way, and this isn't a proposal, this is just for the engineering, but
I
it is for
understand
an
that.
8-inch.
It's the replacement of the existing 4-inch
Replacing the existing 4-inch
Right,
water
right,
main
right.
with an 8-inch. So we're replacing the existing 4-inch with an 8-inch.
All the way through?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Because on this proposal, it sounds like we're doing 8 part of the section and then 4 on the rest of it. So that's what my question
Yeah,
was.
but
I
you
mean,
gotta-
we got an engineer doing it. Are we doing it all the way through, 8 inches
It's
to
gonna be
finish
8
with
inch.
both of them? Okay.
8-inch. Anyone else? I just want to point out to everybody that if you look through the literature we received, this project is going to be designed in 2 separate sections because the one part from Jefferson Park to Plymouth, we have a community development block grant for, which needs to be done this year. And then there'll be another part of the design work on from there to Ridge. So when you see two different things when it comes up later on with the contracts, you'll remember that there's 2 parts on this, but even though it's one project. Okay? So, anyone else? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Trustee Salella?
Yes.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Tucker?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Wagner?
Yes.
Trustee Kazone?
Yes.
President Bolfus?
Yes. That passes. We'll move to 8C, which is a resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, approving a complete street policy. Manager Keenan.
Thank you, Your Honor. The village recognized the importance of a high-functioning and safe transportation network integrating vehicular, pedestrian, bicycle, transit, and rail traffic. All users on the network should have accessible, efficient, and convenient modes to navigate the village. The adoption of a complete streets policy will direct staff on the development of design standards that are tailored to provide measurable safety benefits for non-vehicular users while still accommodating vehicular users. Thank you, Your Honor.
Do we have a motion for the resolution? Trustee Wagner?
I'd like to make that motion.
Do we have a second? Trustee Kazone?
I'll second it.
Okay. Any questions or comments from the board? Trustee Wagner?
I just want to applaud staff for bringing this forward. It's called for in our bike and pedestrian plan, and I think this is a good move. It's going to help us in grant applications because we'll have that policy in place, so I very much appreciate this being brought forward. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Been some time in coming. Trustee Murphy?
Just a comment, thank you to Trustee Wagner who forwarded an online webinar that provided a significant amount of explanation and direction with respect to this policy and how to move the policy to a plan and how to adopt the verbiage specific to our municipalities. So that was a really, really useful webinar, and I thank Trustee Wagner for forwarding the information.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Trustee Salella?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Kazone?
Yes.
Trustee Tucker?
Yes.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Wagner?
Yes.
President Bolfus?
Yes, that passes, and we'll move on to 8D, which is a resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, approving a service agreement with Red Speed Illinois LLC. Manager Keenan.
Thank you, Your Honor. Village Code provides that an automated traffic law enforcement system shall be used to issue traffic citations against motorists who violate Village Code by disregarding traffic control devices or turning on red where prohibited. The village initiated an agreement with Red Speed Illinois LLC in July of 2008 in order to facilitate the use of a red light photo enforcement system. The agreement is expiring and a renewed agreement is proposed in order to enforce the village's ordinances and provide for the safety of the residents and visitors of Villa Park. Thank you, Your Honor.
Do I have a motion for the resolution? Trustee Wagner?
I'll make that motion.
Do we have a second? Trustee Murphy? Okay. I think we have a presentation, and Billy Lyons is here, and Greg Zito from Red Speed.
Good evening. Just going to talk a little bit about some of the effects of the red light cameras, obviously from the different aspects that Red Speed's going to talk about. I was just going to speak to some of the externalities that we see on an investigative end with the village. So I was going to. I'm going to start by just showing two of the videos that we actually have access to. So as part of the program with Red Speed and with the system, we have secured sign-in with the police department. So we could actually go to live access with the cameras if needed. This has proven to be just worth its weight in gold with some of the investigations that we're able to do, not only in criminal, but in traffic as well. I'm going to show you two quick video clips that are from the Route 83 and Riverside Drive location, as well. Then I'll highlight some criminal cases that were solved as a result just of the red light camera. I'll wait for it to warm up a second. This is facing out of Riverside Drive towards Route 83, so it's a eastbound facing camera. As you'll see, this is not that serious of an incident, but it kind of puts things in perspective what we as law enforcement try to figure out, and sometimes we get the answers, sometimes we don't get the answers. And this is, you can see that in the middle of the screen, that car trying to make a right from the left lane. And you know, sometimes we see some pretty interesting things, some unbelievable things, in fact, with people doing some things that end up in putting people in harm's way. Unfortunately, the next video I'm going to show you was a serious crash that I investigated, which actually helped us come to a quicker resolution with doing the investigation. Prior to being promoted to this position, I was the commander of the investigations, and I currently run the major accidents with DuPage County. These have obviously helped solve a lot of crashes. And again, this is just a simple, you know, we don't think it happens in the middle of the day. Unfortunately, someone blows the red light. And again, from the externalities of being able, law enforcement to be able to actually have the access to this, real time is pretty amazing. There's other videos, obviously, I'm not going to show that, you know, we've had fatal accidents in the area that were caught on the camera, and it helped us just give closure to the family a lot quicker than where we'd actually have to go through and do a reconstruction. In addition to that, on a criminal end, the cameras have solved a great deal of offenses. Obviously, we have a camera at the Walmart. We're pretty active over there. But I do want to highlight, and I'm able to provide documentation of this as well, but just a couple major incidents that happened in DuPage County with these cameras. And I'll pass these on, but the first one I want to talk about happened in August 26, 2016. If everybody remembers back, there was actually a kidnapping in Wheaton. Wheaton College student was kidnapped, and he was brought around to actually take money on the ATM. A very limited description was given of the vehicle. One of our detectives at the time, who, got to give him credit, went and sat in the cameras and went through, was able to identify the actual vehicle, and that is the sole reason that Glen Ellen was able to make a capture on that. Again, I have documentation. Both people were charged in that, and they're serving 24 years right now. In addition to that, another Glen Ellen case, an armed robbery at a soccer store. The camera, we were able to get a plate. We were able to go back, provide that information to Glen Ellen. Glen Ellen was able to make an arrest. 2 people charged, and they have got 12 years. Again, I could stand up here all night and talk about what we get out of this. And you know, one of the first ones that I had on it was a fatal accident, hit and run on Roosevelt Road. We were able to catch it from a car going the other way. We got a front plate. We were able to have the offender in custody that night and still get a blood alcohol off him. So again, it just gives us a quicker resolution to a lot of crimes and a lot of incidents that happen. So I'm going to turn it over to Red Speed there. I just wanted to talk about kind of the investigative part of it that we have, and I'm here for any questions if you need it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. President, trustees, village manager. My name is Greg Zito, and I've been with Red Speed now since its inception in 2006. And I believe I made the presentation here when we first signed up in 2008. So I'm delighted to be back and explain a little bit about the program. I'm wondering if you all had this in your packets. So there's some statistics on here, and I think it would be advantageous and a little easier if we go through it rather than there, because that's going to be a little difficult to see. I hear this every time I make a presentation, just to overlap what Bill said about the safety value. So many times we only hear about the red light violations and whether I rolled through a right-hand turn on red or I didn't roll through a right-hand turn on red. But we have a product called SideOps, which is an extension of the cameras because we're video-based. I won't bore you with the details and the IT part of it, but that enables these captures of plates and then bring serious offenders to justice, as was outlined. So, but I put this report together to parochially look at the numbers in Villa Park, and we can go through this quickly, and if you have any questions, please interrupt me, and we can talk about it. So the first, let me see if I can, I'm going to work off the sheet if that's okay. The first is the police violation approval rates. Your average, all these numbers, by the way, in this packet are from the inception date, so at least a decade of data. Your average police approval rate is 55%. We experience with all of our communities usually around 55 or 60%. 2019, you'll see that it was down to 46%. But as you'll see in a couple other slides, you had a camera down for almost a whole year. So I think that's reflected through these slides. The next is violation pay rate.
Can we
Could you please put it up there for the people that don't have the
yeah, so the
sheets?
people at home can see it.
Will you do that for me? Okay, so we're on violation pay rate.
There we go.
There,
Thank you.
Okay, so your pay rate is, average pay rate is about 77%. That is and that's average for the program. That's a very good pay rate. The next is the violations issued by year. I think that's self-explanatory. We have it in the graph. You can see again, I said from October 18th through June 19, Roosevelt and Summit was down because of a signal upgrade, and North and Villa was down through December 2019. So theoretically, you had a camera down during that whole elapsed period. The next is Villa Park revenue, and I think that's again self-explanatory. Fine distribution, which I find very interesting, and we're able to capture that. Outstanding fines submitted to collections, which is money that's all due Villa Park. So we don't, once a violation goes to collections, that's all your money, and it doubles to $200. The dark blue, navy blue is collected fines paid to Villa Park, and the red is the Red Speed fees. And I did a pie chart on the next slide. It just illustrates that. So you can see if you add the navy blue and the light blue, which is all Villa Park's money, the split is 69%. Okay, demographics by registered owner's location. According to these demographics, there are 53.8% that are non-residents. You can see the towns listed below where they come from, and only 7.2% are actual Villa Park residents. So you know what that tells me? Your residents are getting it. They know that the cameras are there, and they're abiding by the laws of the state in Villa Park, and are not violating the red lights, which is very, very good and a very low percentage. We have approximately 62 communities under contract, and I think that's really good. So here's a breakdown. This is going to get a little complicated, and I hope people in the audience can see it, and that's why I would suggest you work off of your, but Illinois 83 and Riverside Drive crash statistics. There's a 20, I guess the highlighted area is the bottom, which says 29% decrease in overall crashes. That's amazing. That means that at that intersection, we have been able over 10 years to diminish and limit and decrease 29% of overall crashes. Now these aren't our statistics. These aren't Villa Park statistics. These are Illinois Department of Transportation statistics. We just took them all, combined them all, and gave you those numbers. I think that's great, and it speaks to the national surveys that have been done and even the state surveys that have been done that red light cameras, whether the newspapers want to believe it or not, red light cameras actually reduce serious crashes. And by evidenced with the videos, the few videos that were shown at the beginning, I think is testimony to the effectiveness of the cameras. So the next location we looked at was Illinois 83 and Riverside Drive, 42% decrease in crashes. Very, very strong, good numbers. And the last we looked at was Riverside Drive in 83. Oh, that's a 29% decrease. We saw that again. Yeah, here we are. North Avenue and Villa Avenue, 34% decrease. So you can see there's consistency in the decreases of the location. What's the next? I'm sorry? Different direction, eastbound. Oh, and then the eastbound is 39% decrease. So you can see there's a little bit of a variation, but all have decreased, and I think 39–40% is substantial. And it's in line with all the other communities that we've had. And the last, I think, is Roosevelt Road and Summit Avenue, which has a 37% decrease. So as you can see, these, and again, these aren't our numbers, these aren't your numbers, these are numbers that came from IDOT. A little bit of a problem with IDOT is that you all will know that work with IDOT, these numbers lag behind about 2 years. So we don't have current statistics, but those, so we're operating on 2018 numbers right now because of the lag time with IDOT. They can't keep up. I think it's a wonderful program. I think you're doing the program as well as anybody. Your numbers are strong in showing that the cameras are working, and I'm delighted to present an addition to continue with the program. I hope you feel the same way, and next time I promise I won't wait 12 years to come back. So, just one other thing that I know somebody's going to ask. I'm literally going to leave here and go to Springfield. You probably have heard, and thank you for those of you. I've been sending out legislative updates, and I appreciate there is we're in a tsunami right now of legislation that legislators want to ban the cameras. I can tell you just in a short sentence or two, I think in their overwhelming attempt to disregard all the safety numbers of cameras and to grab, yes, a headline, and I think I can say that because I served in the Illinois General Assembly. Don't hold that against me. I really believe that, there are 7 or 8 national surveys that represent these safety statistics and eliminate and decrease crash numbers. And some of them are, AAA. The city of Chicago contracted with Northwestern University. And that, if you ever get a chance, I think I sent that out to all of you. Please look at those numbers. The Insurance Institute for Highway Safety, all similar numbers. Chicago Tribune, Chicago Sun-Times, the mayor of the city of Chicago, even the governor has said, before we throw out the cameras, let's see how we can make the program better. And let's reform the program. Unfortunately, there have been some nasty vendors, but they've all done illegal things that were already on the books to begin with. And so I'm going to Springfield to make sure that House Bill 322 at least gets a firm hearing. It came out of committee with no discussion at all, and it's on the floor in second reading. And I'm hoping that they would consider House Bill 4617, which addresses some of the ills of some of the charges of corruption and some of the ills with other vendors and their programs, and recognize the fact that these numbers aren't fictitious. These aren't made up numbers. It does, and if it saves one life, then it's worth it, in my opinion. So thank you. I didn't mean to ramble. If you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to try to answer.
Any questions or comments, Trustee Patrick?
I do. I have a couple of questions. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
First of all, you said that the statistics that you provided us with come from IDOT. They're IDOT statistics, and that they're lagging about 2 years behind. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know how IDOT acquires or gathers the information that they use in these statistics? Does it come from the cameras themselves? Does it come from red light? How do they get these statistics? Are police in-house?
Okay. Very good question. The numbers, I think, originally are generated by the community. So the community has to submit, I think I'm right on that, the community has to submit crash statistics. And then the IDOT digests those and then combines them. The problem is not every community keeps those statistics in the same type of scenario. For example, an intersection of North Avenue, for example, Villa Park may consider, depending on the officer who's writing up the report, may take into consideration 20 yards off the intersection, 100 yards off the intersection. So we really don't know until we give those numbers to IDOT. When we apply for a permit, those are the numbers that we go by, not our numbers, but IDOT's numbers. And we're hoping if there's any reform that we can change that a little bit to make it more conducive to what the local crash statistics are rather than IDOT's.
So there is a little bit of a difference between what both parties are agreeing on as the proper statistics?
Correct.
Okay.
And in some instances, substantial.
Okay.
But IDOT is the official record, so.
Okay. You said that in one of the slides that it shows that there's a 29% decrease in overall crashes. What is it about the camera itself that causes that decrease?
Well, I think there's a couple things. I think that they're deterrents. I think that huge sign that we have to put up is a deterrent. I think people realize that the cameras are there. You know, I think that's evidenced by some other statistical analysis too, the 7.2% of Villa Park residents. They know the cameras are there. And so it's a cultural change. You know, we're trying to change driver behavior. And I think in those instances, whether it's 29% or I think the highest one was 42%, we've actually done that. But we're not only changing it, I think, within the community. I think we're changing it with all of the other communities and drivers that are coming through your community. They know the locations. I mean, it's been there. It's posted on your website. So it's an educational process, but that's what I attribute most of it to.
So I do not underestimate the value whatsoever that it could be utilized in police investigations. It's firsthand evidence. I completely understand that. But then what is the overall purpose of these cameras if that is not its sole purpose? Is it to enforce our code violations, our traffic codes?
Oh, I think your question, and I'm not so sure, but I think your question is, yeah, the purpose and the wherewithal. We didn't develop the SITOP, what Bill showed you. We didn't develop that until later on when we went to video-based technology. So the initial installation of cameras was actually to stop red light running. I mean, that was the original purpose back in 2006, and actually back in 2002 when the city of Chicago was the first city in Illinois that started that. So as the technology developed and we went to video-based, we now have 24/7 capabilities at every intersection, every camera that we install. So actually on your smartphone, the officers, the chief, and whoever he designates on his smartphone, he in real time can look at an intersection.
Can other municipalities have the same capabilities with our cameras in Villa Park?
Right now, yes, they can.
Okay.
And it's called license plate recognition. And we can share them, and I think he can speak better to it. I'm not in the field, but the way they exchange, the stories he told about Glen Ellen exchanging information and video clips and We can get a timestamp on when a car went through and what car we're looking at, even with limited information. And it's not only in Villa Park and Glen Ellen. I mean, we go all the way up to Waukegan, and it's amazing how many crimes have been solved through this technology.
So I'm looking at the statistics here, and it shows in 2018 the village made just about $450,000. I think that is Villa Park revenue. So just under $500,000 annually. In 2019, it's at $273,000, and I know that you said that one of our lights was out, so there's probably the discrepancy in the percentage of revenue. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, you had two different lights. I'm sorry. You had two different locations out for an entire 12 months, a little more than 12 months. So.
Which would cause a decrease in that
Sure.
revenue,
Sure.
of course.
Because, trustee, if you look earlier, you can see they're right about averaging from 2015 to 2018. The average is pretty good, and then 2019, obviously, I attribute that to the camera being down.
So then, a couple of questions that I have, and Chief, maybe the revenue that we generate from this camera, where does that go?
Andrew Keener?
Thank you, Your Honor. It goes into the general fund.
It goes right into the general fund. Okay. One of the issues that I am having, and no offense, is that if we've, in the last 2 years, have made, almost $250,000 off of revenue from these cameras, why can't we as a village just buy our own cameras and have to continue to pay an outside company to do the services that we could do in-house?
Well, we'd still have to get an outside company to install them and maintain them and make sure they're operating properly. Reading the videos.
But don't we already have video cameras throughout Villa Park that are monitored by our police?
We have some cameras that we use that are monitored, but not to this extent.
But the cameras that we could be spending the money on additionally, especially with the revenue like this, could easily get the capabilities of some of those cameras.
So, yeah, they do all the reading and the scanning initial evaluation of them for us.
So what we are essentially paying for then is
the installation, the maintenance, and the upkeep and the initial screening of the potential violations.
Which ultimately decreases our overall crashes by 29%, and that's data that is derived from IDOT that is potentially skewed.
Okay.
Okay, that's it.
Well, if I can answer that a little more specifically, it's all about the software. These cameras aren't surveillance cameras. They trigger when a red light violation is committed, and the violation then is captured. It's reviewed 3 times by our shop before it's ever sent to your police department. It goes from a line, they look at it on the line, it goes through supervisor, and then goes ahead of the department. During that process, they match the license plate with the vehicle through the Secretary of State or a company called Inlets. So before your police department even gets it, it's been screened 3 times. The information's been matched, and it's up to the police department, obviously, to either say yay or nay on the violation. But it's not a surveillance camera, even though it runs 24/7. The violations themselves are triggered by in-ground sensors, and I would think to try to do the software would be very, very difficult to do. On your end, you can run a surveillance camera, and you might be able to even run the side-ups. But I don't know how you would run the red light violations.
So then my last question then, I guess, is as a village, do we get more value out of these cameras as being a deterrent in crashes and safety, or do we get more value out of this system as an investigative tool for our police?
I guess that's all up to you. I mean, I'm delighted. Again, when we originally started these programs, all of them, nobody else has the side-up capability, by the way. I didn't mention that, but they all started as red light violation cameras. There wasn't a company out there that didn't start that. We discovered through our research and development that we can, rather than take single pictures, let me just digress for a second, Mr. President, because this is important to understand, and it's important to understand from RedSpeed's perspective. If you're going to capture a violator, and we know there's sensors in the ground, so it triggers a violation and snaps pictures under the old system of a left-hand turn violator, okay? If there's a semi in the second lane blocking that view, before we developed web-based and video-based technology, you would just catch the side of the semi. You wouldn't know, you knew there was a violation there, but you wouldn't know, you couldn't read a license plate. Now with the video-based, is we can fast forward it. We were losing a lot of left-hand turns, a lot of straight throughs because of that scenario that I just described. So our engineers developed the video base. And basically what that does is, we still know there's a violation because of the sensors. We may have been blocked by a semi, but now because of that technology, we can rewind the tape to a point where we can shoot the license plate, or we can fast forward it. And you still have the red light on there, you still have them going through it, so you have the video as evidence. And we capture that violation. You can't just do that with the surveillance, and you can't do that without the pucks. So in answer to your question, I know that's kind of you know, it's at least 50-50. We've gotten the benefit of the side ops because of the technology that was developed because of the red light cameras, if that makes any sense.
Sure, I completely
And I don't
understand.
know how you weigh one or out the other. I think they're both very powerful tools. As you heard from your police department, that's a powerful tool. And I think the deterrent of the decrease in crashes is directly because of the red light.
Absolutely, and like I said earlier, I don't discredit the value of such a tool when it comes to police investigations. My concern is that we're using it properly for what it was intended for in the original first place. So.
Seems like we're using it more than it was originally put in 12 years ago. But I sort of get the impression, your question might be, why do we have a contract with RedSpeed, and with the amount of revenue possible, do it all ourselves and eliminate RedSpeed?
Well, you know, if we are making money off of violations, it definitely could do it in-house, especially if when I ask the question of what do we get more value out of these cameras with preventing a decline in crashes or from a detective tool. Because if it is then becoming, we get more value out of this system as a tool for our police and detectives, then that is an issue that the board might want to address in funding better sources for cameras or additional cameras to help them with that. Whereas if it is for just the crash decline, do we get enough value out of that?
So you're sort of saying then if it's doing the criminal detection and crashes, should we install more cameras?
And then also, I don't necessarily agree with this, but could we potentially be violating people's right of privacy, being that these cameras are, instead of being used to deter crashes, but now we're using them in a sense, in a detective role to investigate?
No.
No.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else?
No, thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Trustee Kazone?
Yes.
Trustee Tucker?
Yes.
Trustee Salella?
Yes.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Wagner?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
President Wolfus?
Yes. If that passes, and we'll move on to item number 9, is public comments on non-agenda items. Has anyone signed up for non-agenda?
Yes, Pam Bradford.
Hi, Pam.
Let's talk about a park near her home.
Which I don't have a name for yet, sir. Anyway, the park is between High Ridge Road and Leslie Lane. And was installed this year with the watershed that was put in. It was, the first day it opened up, I counted.
Could you put the mic towards your, look, the microphone, so.
I don't touch that stuff, you
There
know
you
me. Okay. Anyway, it was installed, the park was put in, and on the first day that it was there, we had over maybe 70 people an hour. I was counting. I can look out my kitchen window and see it. It was wonderful. It was great to see all the children, all the families. They were there from the time it opened in the morning, maybe let's say 7 o'clock, till the lights went out at nighttime. What I liked best about it is that the families were there, the picnic tables were there, the socialization was there. It was wonderful. At that time, they had a small fence, or a fence that was around the park that was to help grow grass. The fence was taken down. Now, these two basins, the one that's behind Jackson and the one that's over to Ardmore, there is like a ditch that goes all over there. It's the water that comes from, you know, Michigan Avenue and all the places which you were trying to stop the flooding, which I think is going to be wonderful. It has that, it goes over a bridge and over there. That fence was taken down. What my concern is that ditch is maybe no more than 30 or 40 feet, or maybe even, I don't know how long, between where the park is, where the children are. I'm concerned about children falling into it. And I'm also concerned about, like last Saturday, or when it wasn't, maybe it was Friday or Saturday, I saw four-wheel, those ATV carts going around the park. I see bicycles running through the park. I see dogs that are not leashed. I see. What I'm asking for is I would like to see this same type of fence permanently installed around the park for safety and for the children. In fact, Olivia, that was here with the Petersons, they live down the street from me. I got to see their wonderful Christmas lights. Anyway, she's fallen down it twice now. Okay, now if there's deep water in that, we have a potential for a real hazard. If there's little water, we still have a potential of some child getting hurt or something like that. Saturday made me think about, I can look out my kitchen window. I saw 40, 50 people out there. It's marvelous. You're putting the baseball field in there with the lights. You're drawing more people to the park. I'm hoping, I'm going to go to the school board meeting because I'd like to see the tennis courts reinstalled or fixed up from Willowbrook. And I know we used to have a program with the park department where they had lessons there. It was wonderful in the evenings. I would see people and young kids out there playing tennis until 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, and the park board helped do that. And when these water and all this comes in and the ponds start growing, I can see heron, crane, deer, all this stuff. So it's a marvelous place. I like to see it further developed, but I'd also like it to be safe. Okay. Oh, one other question.
Yeah,
One other question. There was a dumpster that was by Lufkin Pond that you collected paper for, and it was supposed to be to stock the fish. What happened to it?
To stock the fish.
The paper, the
right.
bin, that was, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that paper
gone.
thing is gone.
Yeah, I get 3 newspapers a day. I was dumping all the time.
Okay.
So anyway, I would like to. I mean, it was supposed to be. I understood from the park people that it was supposed to be for keeping the pond stocked with fish, and that was what the paper was used for. And I looked, and a couple weeks ago, whenever it was gone. So that was my other question.
Well, I don't remember it being money being used to stock the fish.
I was told by the park people that.
Oh, the park people?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
I heard it too.
You heard it too? But, you know, my first impression of the paper recycling, your trash collector will pick up the paper every week.
I mean, I know that. That is,
Yeah.
I just thought it was such a wonderful
I don't think there's any money in
thing.
newspapers.
Yeah,
No.
if that was what it was done, and that was what it was done for. And I was sorry to see that it was gone, because if it was due to that,
Well,
okay.
yeah, I hadn't heard, but apparently about feeding the fish or stocking the fish.
Okay.
I don't remember that at all.
Oh, well, I was told.
But Mary Ann remembers too, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, but I'd like to have the park have a name. That would be nice too. I'd like to see a fence for safety. Otherwise, and if you want to put more equipment in there, it would be very nice too. I would like the fence to include the picnic tables in the inside, the garbage on the outside. I mean, I got a whole plan if they want to have
Save us the work.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I said, just been watching it for a year, and
Yeah,
I just think it's
appreciate
wonderful,
that.
and I'm grateful for it.
We'll
So-
look into the fence issue. I know there are some calculations on the slope and requirements and stuff like that, but we'll look into that to see.
Yeah, it's
check
just
it
more
out.
safe. I mean, one accident. we
I will
don't-
admit, I drove past there and it's, that's pretty deep hole.
It's very,
Yeah.
very deep. I mean, I don't want to call it a ditch. I call it a creek. But anyway, I think it
I
looks
call it
very,
deep hole.
very beautiful.
So, okay, we'll check it.
Okay, thank you.
It's a good point.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Nobody else
No,
signed
that's
up?
it.
Anybody else, non-agenda item? Okay, we'll move on to the clerk's report.
Yes, I am going to remind our residents about early voting. It actually starts next Monday, March 2nd, until Saturday, March 14th. Now, for us, it's always the same locations. It's the Elmhurst City Hall and Addison Township. That's really the closest for us. But you can also go to Oak Brook Village Hall, Glen Ellen, Downers Grove, and College of DuPage. So for wherever you're driving through or you want to stop and vote. But it is March 2nd to March 14th, early voting for the primary. And that's all. Thank you.
All right. Trustees report, we'll start to the left. Trustee Murphy.
Just a quick shout out to our Windy City Villa Park Curling Club. They were vignetted, so to speak, on a program on TV this week, February the 18th. The program was called Chicago Tonight. I believe it's a PBS station.
Yes.
And it was a really, really nice tribute to one of our new businesses. So I'm not sure if they have it posted online. I will see. I recorded it. If we can, we'll see if we can get it up somewhere, or you can check out PBS's Chicago Tonight show and see if perhaps you can find it. Again, it was February the 18th, and it was our Villa Park Curling Club.
Let's just see if we can legally do that. Take it off of the TV and redo it.
I don't know.
We don't know. So, okay. If we can, we'll try.
We might be able to get it off of their website.
Yeah.
I'm not
okay.
sure. Thank you. That's all I
Yeah.
have.
If it's shared on their YouTube, then we can link it into our social media.
Okay.
But if it's like taking it from the website.
You have to talk in the mic.
Okay.
You
That's
can't-
okay.
Can't just talk from the public.
We're going to try to do it. So, if we can. Okay. Trustee Tucker.
I just want to remind everybody in the village again that Community Congregational Church on Friday, March 6th, is having a free concert with refreshments afterwards. So and it starts at 7 p.m. It's at 410 South Cornell Avenue. It's on the corner of Cornell and Highland. They welcome everybody. And we have 3 professionals. These are professional performers that are doing it for free. Basically, they're running a classic concert going on, a clarinet player, a violin player, and a piano player. It's a free concert. They do ask for a free will offering, and they provide food afterwards. So it's a great evening to come out and just enjoy the music and relax. So that's all I wanted to point out, that there's something going on in the village for free.
Trustee Wagner.
Thank you, President Bulthus. I just have a couple things. Want to let residents know that the Villa Park Garden Club will have its first meeting of 2020, and their meeting will be held at the Villa Park Library at the lower level meeting area. And kudos to the library for working with the Garden Club to provide them with a new location for their meetings. The meeting will be from 7:30 p.m. to 8:45 p.m. at the library. Want to let folks know that this coming Thursday, February 27th, the Bicycle, Pedestrian, and Transit Subcommittee will be meeting at 6 p.m. here at Village Hall, followed by the Environmental Concerns Commission meeting at 7 p.m. On Tuesday, March 3rd, Traffic and Safety will meet here at 8 p.m. And just wanted to correct something that Commissioner Adam Hudson said about Spring Sweep. Planning for Spring Sweep is underway. The Village Pride Commission, of course, is the lead commission, and the Environmental Concerns Commission is partnering with them. And spring sweep will take place on Saturday, May 16th, and it'll be from 9 a.m. to noon. Same location along Home Avenue. As I said, plans are underway, and I know that there'll be more information available in the Village Matters and other village e-newsletter, etc. So looking forward to that again. It was a really wonderful event. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Could one of the staff turn these bank of lights on? We want to make sure Trustee Patrick is well seen. Trustee Patrick?
All set. Well, thank you. I have just a couple of quick things. First of all, this morning at our fire department, we had a newly sworn-in probationary firefighter, paramedic, Furtek. Did I say that correctly, Chief? Yes. Furtek. So just wanted to congratulate him. Also, I wanted to give a shout out to the fire department and the police department for both doing an excellent job of with social media and getting us, the residents, the news that they do. So I commend that and want to see more of that. So thank you for doing that. Lastly, the Villa Park Cable Commission, we are looking for volunteers, mostly to help us create content. If you have any ideas as far as shows that you would like to see on our channel or specials or anything of the such, please feel free to contact me directly. My phone number is 630-336-6544, or you could email me at trusteepatrick@invillapark.com. Thank you.
Trustee Asiala.
No report this evening.
Trustee Kazone.
I just got a couple things. The Community Pride Commission, who was here this evening, the normal meeting would be tomorrow, but it has been canceled. So the fourth Tuesday of the month in March, we'll be back. So meetings are up here. And just another quick, thanks to staff and Manager Keener and everybody that worked on the sale of the AT&T building and AK Mulch. The process has been completed and the move out is happening, and within hopefully about a month we'll be able to start construction of the parking area there, so the businesses on Villa will see some relief in their parking hopefully by summer. And that's it.
Thanks for pointing out. It was a long process. Okay. Remind everybody that our next board meeting is on March 9th right here at 7 o'clock. And also, we're just getting very close to the census. So please, when you get that notice on the census, please fill it out. It's very important to our community. If you're a little bit hesitant to doing it online, you can still do it by paper or you can do it by phone. So please fill out the census. It'd really be, like we talked tonight about a community development block grant that we're receiving. That's the type of where that information is gathered to make us eligible for these grants. So that's all I have. Manager Keener.
Your Honor, I pass this evening.
Okay. With that, a motion to adjourn, please. Trustee Wagner.
I'll make that motion.
Second. Trustee Murphy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We'll adjourn until March 9th.